whatever our COFA students do, they push the boundaries of a client brief and find the best possible solutions. This time when Hans gave the project brief, they left it more open for the students to self-select a project or an issue and find a solution that was in essence still based around the Hans philosophy, but it wasn't as tight as a project brief. I think time is probably the biggest issue that they're facing, their time management and ability to sort of understand how to resolve all of the current issues to bring the project to a full realisation. I think they're struggling with what that means and what the time restrictions are.
The main reason why I've stopped working with Hans would be because of time constraint. I'm actually doing my PEP as well as my major project at the same time. And not only because of that, it's just I find the communication between Hans and the design students is that it's very lacked.
I only wanted to work with Hans because I wasn't sure what I wanted to do for my major project, so I was really stuck, so I thought maybe I could resort to them and find inspiration through them. And then I came up with my whole idea and concept about my project now, and since then I just kind of like stopped thinking about Hans and their brief. So and I just kind of took it on my own direction and in my own interpretations.
The process of working with the Hands project, there's a lot of guidelines that have to be adhered to, and those guidelines can limit the flexibility that you might otherwise have around a project. So I think in the cases of Julie and Eva, they were some of the challenges that they came up against.
Yeah.
Emma also came up against them. Yeah. So what was interesting though is just the way Emma dealt with it, and she just needed, I think, genuinely she just needed a little help across the line with what the blocks for her were, what the challenges were for her, and also to just understand that where she was actually okay. She was doing a good job.
At the moment, I'm trying to work out how to make and design and manufacture a clip for the baby pram that will go alongside with the muslin wrap. It's been really difficult because it's just like really hard to think of something that's baby safe, and also trying to get it manufactured, just researching where I can get that done, the prices involved and that sort of thing.
I asked a lot of like new mothers what sort of essential new baby, out of these essential new sort of baby products, which one would they see themselves buying and whatever, and the majority of people answered that they'd prefer the baby wrap because it's just an essential, it's something that every mother needs.
Yeah, the more I research into looking at what's on the market, I went to a few baby stores on the weekend and found that there wasn't really anything to do with clips and muslin wraps and trying to attach it to prams. So that was it's a pretty good big relief for me. The next step would be just to really finalise the design, the final design, and really work out what's the best solution, talk to my tutors and see what they think.
And what is it that you're doing that's different?
I'm going to put print on it, something really loud and really Australian.
Okay.
I mean, that's just really like a floral print.
Okay.
Another thing that I found useful was to do my drawing and use watercolours and like the real traditional methods of art to try and work out what my ideas were, because you can do some things on the computer, but you know other things you just need to be able to use the paint and watercolor to really get the idea. And this one here was actually done with black pen over the top, so that's not screen printed, but that will give me an indication of what the screen print will then look like.
It looks at this stage like Emma's project, where she's working on infant mortality, and she's got an incredible product that she's starting to develop. The principle and the concept behind it looks really strong, so she looks like she's picked one of the principles of Hans is to create an ordinary product with an extraordinary message, and Emma looks like she's developing that in a really nice way.
I came up with this idea of doing patches, and these are some examples. And what they'd be would be an artisan in Vietnam would create a patch with a message inlaid in that embroidery, which would then be put onto the corner of a wrap and go back and sold in Australia, where the mother would see that patch and the little embroidery, and it would feel a connection to the artisan in Vietnam.
So I guess I'll just show you some of the photos that Kathy Adams, my mentor, showed me that really got me passionate about working with the Hock My Foundation. So this one up here is a woman with her baby, and they have this saying in Vietnam, and that's to bear a child is to carry a coffin. So that's really shocking, and it's just something that you wouldn't hear in Australia. This is the hospital in Dien Bien, so you can see it's really different to the hospitals that you'd get in Australia. They talked to many of the women that were giving birth there. Most of them are around 15 years of age, and the more they talked about the issues regarding childbirth, their expressions changed from quite happy to be talking to them to really somber, and they just realised just how horrible it's going to be for them and how risky it'll be. They talked to the doctors and asked them about the equipment that they use. This here, it's an emergency resuscitation device that they said that they would use on babies. But Kathy told me that if they use that on a baby, it would blow the baby's lungs up because it's an adult resuscitation device. So they're just doing practices. The practices that they're doing over there are just completely different. This is an intensive care unit. So in Australia, they'd have a doctor one-on-one with these babies, or a nurse one-on-one, and then a doctor with every 2 babies, keeping an eye on them 24/7, and that's just how they're sort of put on a big bed, and the conditions over there are really different. It's quite heartbreaking to see images like that. Working with hands has been challenging for me as a design student, and challenging from them from their side as well, and it's probably a really good learning experience on both accounts. I suppose hands is trying to understand where how the design process works, and I have to sort of just understand how they work in terms of marketing and getting what they need. So it's kind of been a lot of compromises and a lot of learning and listening to each other.
Sometimes it is quite overwhelming because it's a lot broader, and you have to, I guess, tick a lot more boxes than, say, if you wanted to just design something in, a beautiful aesthetic or a beautiful product. So it's a lot more of an involved process, and I think at that early stage of the project, if you fall behind then, it can be quite overwhelming, and I think that's maybe what happened with the 2 girls. And I think to some extent, like you said, Emma was a little bit overwhelmed, but just with, once she got her confidence in her own project.
Because she needed the confidence in her own project. It was true. She was sort of like, she wasn't sure how good it was, but when we saw it, it was good.